Now, Jefferson Barracks, it had a hospital that was on site with the post. When we go up there, I'll show you the old buildings and point out the haunted ones. But eventually, it became such a great spot for veterans because it's here on the Mississippi River. They could easily come by train, steamboat, and in the Civil War, this is where a lot of the patients were shipped. So they decided to make it all official, and at the, let's see, this would be the south end of the military reservation. They decided, and I'm looking at my notes, I got them out this time, to build a Veterans Hospital in 1923. So we're going to take a look at that. And there is reported haunted activity here, just like all through the rest of Jefferson Barracks. There are claims that they see full uniform Civil War soldiers and cavalry soldiers all throughout the property. I think the cemetery is considered one of the most haunted cemeteries, and we're going to check it out in the country. I know it is in the state of Missouri. And even this VA hospital, there are claims that there are full uniform Civil War soldiers and shadows that they see walking around this property. Okay, that's the old nurses building. And then that building is the old hospital. And that's the old administration building. So these are the 3 original buildings from 1923. Now, of course, it's been added on. There's buildings all behind there, newer buildings. 10 of them are historic. I'll give you another look at the Mississippi. JB Bridge. And I'm going to head up to the cemetery. Now, I can't take the easy roads because they're closed off because the U.S. Air Force still has control over the property, and they have the Army National Guard there and the Air Guard there. So the little back ways to get there are closed off. So I got to go around, but I'll see you at the cemetery. Okay, we're at the front entrance of the cemetery. Letting people pass me. It's pretty cool. And to get to the older part in this mass grave, it's one of 4 mass graves. They have one for some soldiers who got killed in a training mission in like 1950. What is it? B-52 bomber. And I think I have to go around this circle. And then they have another one for freed slaves who fought in the Civil War. And then there's a third one that has to do with a cargo ship that collided with a tanker, I think off the coast of Newfoundland. And there's like 61. Okay, Flagstaff. This is what we wanted to get to the older part. And 61 maritime sailors were killed, and it was a fiery collision. So, let's see if you can see that. Now, when the post was established in 1826, oh, and here you can see the post. That's the back of it. We're going to go around to the front because there's some barracks buildings I want to tell you some haunted stories about. That's when the old part of the cemetery was established in 1826, and it's down this way further. Man, this place is just amazing. By the Mississippi River. When we get to it, I'll tell you some more history about that. Here, I'm gonna switch hands here so you can see the back of the barracks. Can you see that about the camera? I'm looking forward, by the way. Now to find this mass grave that I want to go to, where these POWs were killed. Oh, I think it's at the end of the circle right here. Look at them old historic buildings. Now they only have a couple original buildings from the 1850s, and we'll go there because there's a really good ghost story there. Alright, I think my mass grave is here. I believe so. Alright, I'm going to get out of the car, see if this is where I want to be. If so, I'll be back. These were POWs, American POWs, and on December 14th, here's the plaque, in 1944, I don't know if you can read that or not, a terrible, terrible thing happened, and it just goes to show you war. It can just be so brutal. No, the sun's shining so bright, which is awesome, because we haven't had a lot of sun here. You see these names? Well, the story, excuse me, it was 1944, and it was I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but it was called the Palawan Massacre, because these American soldiers that were at this Japanese prison camp in the Philippines, hopefully I got all the names. It's so sad. But the story goes, okay, there was this Japanese prison camp where these soldiers right here were at, and the Allies were getting close, so the Japanese were afraid. Oh, and you hear the bells? I can hear bells. That's nice. The Japanese were afraid that the Allies were going to come rescue these POWs, so they put these 150 men in these trenches. Then they doused them with gasoline and set them on fire. Now, the ones who tried to escape, they shot with machine gun fire. 11 did escape, which is, I don't know how, but they did. It's just unimaginable. Oh, my nose is running, a little wind. So, 11 men did escape, and there were 139 of them. Their ashes after the war, those ashes were brought here, and this is it. My name is Shannon, and I read about your story. It's a horrible story. It's horrible what happened to you. So I felt the need to come here and pay my respects. And I also felt the need to find out if there's anything that you guys want to say to me. If you hear that box there, that white noise, if you can, you can try and communicate through that box. And I can hear you now. Or you can talk into this recorder or this camera, and I can hear you later. First, I want to thank you for your service, for going over there and defending us. I'm so sad that war is war. Are any of you here? Oh, was that a thanks? If that was you, say that again. I think that was a thanks. Thank you. No need to thank me. Can you say your name? Who am I talking to? I'm going to turn it up a little. you have a name? Oh my. Turn it down a little. It does that. It just gets louder and softer. What's your name? How many are here? Is there anything you want to say to me? Can you say the word light so I know it's you? Say the word light. Can you say anything I'll understand so I know you're here? It's interesting that when I was over at Koch Hospital, that in that area where, back on the path, that's supposed to be, I believe, by where the nurses' quarters was, in the women's infirmary, I got female voices, and now I'm at a mass grave where it's all men, and I'm getting male voices. I think that's interesting. Is there any messages you want me to give to any of your loved ones? Are you at peace now? The war is over. If you're not at peace, know that you can go home or go to the light and find peace. And probably see some of your family. Are you still suffering? Do you need help? Do you remember eating only small rations of rice when you were at the camp? It's weird that I feel like there's someone behind me. Just look, nobody's there. I haven't had that feeling really all day. Do you remember building airstrips for the Japanese? Do you remember digging trenches? Is there anything you want to say to the Imperial soldiers? Do you forgive them? Were you burned? Were you shot? Were you beaten? I'm so sorry that happened to you. But thank you so much for helping this country. Very proud of you. I have to leave soon. If there's anything you want to say, now would be a good time to say it. If you want to make your presence known, do that now. Again, I want to thank you so much for giving your life for us, for my freedom, and for the freedom of many people throughout the world. I'm so sorry that you had to suffer like you did, though. May God bless you, keep you at peace, and I hope you found home. Thank you for sharing with me. I have to go now. Goodbye. Can you say goodbye? Can you say goodbye? God bless. Bye. Let's take a look at Old Post. Now, the first grave was supposed to be an infant child. And I should have brought my notes, but I think it's Elizabeth Lash. She was an officer's daughter. And the reason why I chose to do Old Post, because the hauntings that I find are of cavalry soldiers and Civil War soldiers. Now, there's even 1,000, I believe it's 1,000. When I get back to the car, we'll go over the notes to make sure I got this correct. Confederate prisoners of war buried in here. And the Civil War caused the big expansion of the cemetery because, like I was telling you, we were down at the VA. It was really convenient to bring wounded soldiers and even, unfortunately, dead soldiers here by steamboat. So since they had the hospital here, it would follow that they would have to have a cemetery. And I think there's 20,000 graves in the Old Post part. So we're going to go up to this part, see Old Post West. And see if we can find Elizabeth Lash. And we know that she's the first person buried here. And I got a feeling it's closest to the river. I'd be curious to, because all the other tombstones, that's a memorial up there, are like these. Now the soldiers that fought for the Union, they're all supposed to be all buried together by state. And I think there's, I should have brought my notes. I think there's like 3,000, maybe more, probably more, Civil War soldiers buried in here. This looks impressive. It's got more than one name on it. Of course, your loved ones can be buried with you here. Colonel. World War I, maybe? Well, that ended in what? 1917? Okay, let's continue this way. Died 1851. Was he a Mason? Then the tip broke off. Of course, a lot were back then. So 1851, I'm thinking cavalry. Oh wait, born 1850. Died 1851. I'm thinking child of an officer in the cavalry. This one looks interesting too. See that? Now, tombstones will have symbolism. Let's go around the front. I'm not sure if this is one I've seen. Oh, it's an urn. So I'm thinking the person was cremated and in the urn. Where's the writing now? Oh, it's just you can't see it. It's really hard. 39 years and 4 days was the age. Died November 30th, 1878. Joseph Byers? And here we're getting to the Mississippi. Oh, look, there's a tugboat and a barge. Oh, there's the hospital. See? I told you there was a quicker way to get here, but they have the roads all closed off. VA hospital. That gives you an idea how just together everything is. Brigadier General. 1840-1904. William Griffin, First Lieutenant, 13 U.S. Infantry. Born July 12, 1832. Died November 5th, 1864. He was young. This says, there is no such thing as death. 'Tis but the blossom sprays sinking before the coming fruit that seeks the summer's rays. 'Tis but the bud displaced as comes perfect flower. 'Tis faith exchanged for light and weariness for power. There's someone buried in this part from 1999. Oh, another possible Mason. World War I. An unknown. Yeah, I think there's like 3,500 plus unknown soldiers buried in here. Okay, they got that roped off. place just goes on and on forever doing it. So many brave men and women. Let's see these down here. I think they might be older the closer they are to the post. Oh, some of these are hard to read. Let's see. Private, September 23rd, 1933. So I'm going to find a Civil War soldier or cavalry. Maybe it's up on the other end. These were probably World War I vets, maybe. Let's walk further down this way. See what the age of those tombstones are. And maybe we'll pick one and do a spirit box session. Do you see any apparitions? If we found Elizabeth Lash, then we'd know. I can't really read that one. Looks like some kind of ornamentation broke off from up there. .45. Private from Indiana. I'm thinking 22 years old. He probably died in World War II. It's 1908. Oh, cavalry. He was a cavalry soldier. Thinking we're in the cavalry section, 1886. Okay, I got my equipment out. I don't know, this one just sort of piqued my interest. I've never seen two unknown soldiers before. I'm thinking they probably died together and their remains couldn't be identified. So, let's turn on the spirit box, see if they want to talk to us.
S-box. Scanning. FM. Scanning. AM.
And we got the recorder going too. Hi guys, least I'm assuming you guys. First of all, I want to thank you for your service. Thank you for fighting the war for us. Really appreciate that. You're a hero. I seen on your tombstone it says 2 unknown soldiers. Were you 2 friends? If you want to talk to us, all you have to do is talk into this box. Try and use that white noise to communicate. Or you can try and talk into this recorder. I can't hear you now, but I'll hear you later. And you can also try and talk into this camera, and I'll hear you later. But if you want me to hear you now, try and manipulate that white noise. Is there something you can say to make your presence known? Was that a yes? To prove that was you, can you say the word war? I think that might have been war. Hi, my name is Shannon. Can you tell me your name? That sounded like a yes. What's your name? Soul? Can you tell me your friend's name? There's 2 of you here. What's his name? Soldier? What name were you born with? Can you tell me your father's name? Homer? How did you guys die? Were you killed? What war? Steve? Is that your name? Are you at peace? Do you know the war's over? Do you know you can go home now? Is there anything you want to say to us? Is there anybody else here? What about Lewis? World War II. Thank you for your service. And then there's another unknown over there. Thank you for your service. James is over here. World War II. Or World War I. Christmas Eve, 1938. Do any of you want to talk to us? How many are here? How many are here from the Army? How many are here from the Marines? The Navy? Air Force? Cavalry? Coast Guard? Maritime? Are there any Civil War soldiers buried in here? Are there any WACs? Nurses? Did you say that's stupid? Is that because, I think, wasn't it the law that unless women couldn't be buried in here, right? You had to face combat to be buried in here? I could be wrong about that, but the law has changed. Women can be buried, I believe, now in military cemeteries. Do any of you want to talk to us? Do you know anything about the Civil War soldiers who roam these properties that people claim to see? Do you know anything about the cavalry soldiers that people claim to see that are ghosts? Do you know anything about the hauntings over at the old post and the old cavalry barracks? Who haunts over there? Can you tell me your name? Can you say the word light? So I know it's you? Can you say the word love? So I know it's you? Ooh, that almost sounded like that. Is there anything you want to tell me? I have to get going soon. I'm going to go check out the old post. Again, thank you so much for your service. Know that you can go home if you haven't already done so. And if you follow the light, you'll find peace. Thank you for talking to me. Is there anything else you want to say? Is there anything you want anybody to know? Oh, and to go backtrack on that, the women, the wives of soldiers could be buried here. I'm talking about female soldiers. I don't think... I could be wrong on that. I don't want to start an argument. But everybody knows for sure what that is. They're welcome to comment in the comments and set me straight. Well, I gotta go. Can you say goodbye? Thank you for talking to us. I am back. Now, I've left the cemetery and I'm at the barracks. And there's a few buildings that we can't go in here, as you see. It's blocked off road. U.S. Air Force runs this now in the Air Guard and the National Guard are still active here. There's some abandoned buildings though, and some buildings have even been made a museum, like that one straight ahead. I think that's a telephone museum. And then that one, I think, is the Civil War Museum. Now, you can't go in with a camera into any of the museums, so we won't be doing that today. But first, I want to make sure, because I got back to my notes, that I told you all the facts I wanted to about the cemetery. In Old Post, where we were at, there's 20,000 graves. And I'm focusing on that building because it's one of the haunted buildings, all right? And I'll tell you that in just a minute. In that cemetery, there's graves from every American war, including vets of the American Revolution. And also, there's 2 Continental Army vets. It's the largest Civil War burial site in Missouri. There's 16,000, I was wrong. 16,000 Civil War soldiers. And 1,000 Confederate POWs. So, that's what I missed telling you about the cemetery. Just want to make sure we got that in here. Now, the barracks here. This was established in 1826. And it went on through World War I and World War II. It was first established, for the cavalry. It was meant to help westward expansion. So, Indian Wars, right? Which is more politically correct to say Native Americans. Now, when I was doing research, it said that there were Native American leaders brought here and executed. Probably true. If you read the story, other stories, like on their website, it says that it was mainly established. Do you see any lights going on enough? It's part of the story. It was mainly established to keep peace. I got a cough. Between the settlers and the Native Americans. Anyway, it went on, like I said, and it stayed a post in a barracks, and its main mission was for training, deployment, and it became a medical center. Like I had said before, because of the railroad down there and because of the Mississippi, it was easy to transport injured soldiers here in order to get the medical treatment via the steamboat and the railroad. And it was the Civil War era when it greatly expanded, including the cemetery too, which was also established in 1826, but didn't become official until 1863. And they actually did open a general hospital here, which the building's no longer here, from what I understand, in 1862 due to the large number of injured and diseased soldiers, because it wasn't just injuries. There were a lot of diseases too that we learned from Koch Hospital over there. Because they're so close, they're like right next to each other. It would not surprise me, since that quarantine cemetery started in 1857, that possibly some soldiers ended up over there as well. So, anyway, one particular thing, that's the parade field out there. It also was the site of the first parachute jump in 1912. And also during World War II, hundreds of German and Italian soldiers were held prisoner here. So, let's see, I think that about covers it. So I maybe can, it was decommissioned after World War II. And after that, it was sort of abandoned, but then the National Guard came in and the Air Guard. And in the 60s, St. Louis County added property to it and made a St. Louis County Park around it as well. So it's not just a National Historic Site, it's also a St. Louis County Park. Okay, this building, you're probably wondering why I'm keeping the camera on that. It's building 25, I believe. And the story goes, it's vacant. Interesting, isn't it? the lights turn on and off by themselves. There's a story about, I guess whoever runs this, a commander, general, I don't know, will get calls saying the lights are on in building 25. Of course, reports of footsteps, voices, all the usual haunting activity. So, what I'm going to do, I can't go in there, see the guard post? I'm going to drive around the parade field, and I think there's a parking lot on the other side. And I'm going to tell you the stories. There's a few other buildings right here. Okay? So you got the parking lot. And these are the barracks. And then that's the administration building. There's the Mississippi River. Now, I'm just going to briefly go over some haunted activity. And we're going to start with building number 1. I wonder if I can tell a photo of this. Building number 1, you get a better view. It's hard for me to see what you're seeing now. The sun's right in my face. Well, there are 41 buildings on this site right here, but 13 of them have paranormal activity, and I'm going to show you, I think I have 5 that we're going to talk about. Now, this is the administration building. It was built in 1900. I think I talked about it earlier, and I said 1909, 1900. I got my notes with me. It's a 3-story brick building, and now it's the post headquarters. It has a ballroom on the 2nd floor. Wouldn't it be nice if we could go inside? Can't happen now. Supposedly there's haunted area inside and outside of the building. They see apparitions in there. They see them, shadow people, and they also see them on the outside. This whole area is supposedly haunted by cavalry and Civil War soldiers. I'm going to back up because I can't tell what you're seeing. But, so that's administration building number 1. There's a Confederate Civil War general scene in the post commander's office. I was right, commander. And then there's also a shadowy figure that they see sitting at a desk near a window on the 2nd floor. And when they approach this figure, they don't see him, they just hear footsteps walking away. Now, to the next building. Let me turn my notes. This is building 29. I'm going to try and tell a photo. Now, it was a cavalry barracks. It was a double barracks, and it was built in 1897. In the center, it has 3 floors. See that? I think they're all designed similarly. It's used for storage by the Air Guard, so it's not a barracks today. And when you go in this building, there's been reports of footsteps and toilets flushing before they even had toilets. Am I still on there? I'm sorry. So that's weird, no toilets in the building, but you could hear them flush. And there's a report that you'll hear a voice saying dismissed. So that's interesting. Now if you go to the building right next to it, that's number 28. And it was also built in 1897. It's pretty much set up the same way, and they hear footsteps and pacing in there. So that's the story on that. When we go to this one in the middle, though, that has a little bit eerier of a story. I can't tell if I got it on there. I hope. Sorry, this is shaky. But that's building number 37. Originally, it was a water building, built in 1860. It would pump water from the Mississippi River to the other barracks, and they had like an intricate pipes system built, so that's really cool. But it didn't last as that. Later, it became the post, guardhouse, and jail. So there's hauntings in there for sure. I mean, it served as the jail. It was rebuilt in 1897, and again served as the guardhouse and jail. Now it's a dining facility. And the interesting story there, a female soldier said she saw a female apparition of a floating woman. She swears she saw that. So, okay, a little further down is building 25. We already talked about that. And because of the sun, I'm not so sure you can see it, but it's the oldest building. It was built in 1894, and it is vacant. We talked about that. Now, there's one other building. It's not in this section, but there's a section that's a little bit older than this, and it's probably the most haunted, most talked about. Here, I'm gonna pan out. The most haunted and most talked about building, and it's the Powder Magazine, and it's the place where there's actually a ghost that's not so nice. And so when we get there, it's on the other side of the park, the north side of the park. We'll talk about it. Can't go in it. It's a museum too, but can't go in it with a camera. Okay. Okay, here we are. Now this is supposed to be the haunted building where they have a threatening ghost. It's the old Powder Magazine. It was built in 1857. It's currently today a museum. I'm going to get out and walk around. I don't know if I'll be able to do a spirit box session here. If I can find a place, we will. But let me tell you the story. But first, it's a limestone building too, which, you know, I always heard that promotes ghostly activity. It stored the munitions, which are the rifles, cannons, gunpowder. And in fact, in 1871, the federal arsenal that was here in St. Louis moved its contents here. So it continued to be a storage area until the post was decommissioned after World War II in 1946. However, during World War II, they placed sentries, which is a military armed guard, I believe, and they would patrol this whole area and protect the munitions. I mean, they had the St. Louis Arsenal here, and it was a pretty important place. I mean, thieves, you know, after that sort of thing. And the railroad was down there too, and we're going to walk up there and you can see. And the story goes that those armed military guards, those sentries that guarded this building and in the bluffs here and all that, they reported seeing a sentry with a bullet hole in his head, and they described it as running red with blood. And the sentry with the bullet hole would come up to them and challenge them. You know, he would, I guess, want to know what they were doing here on his post, and he would threaten them. I mean, it's reported that there were sentries who guarded here who refused to come back, and one guy even quit the army, is what's supposedly happened. It's believed that this sentry with the bullet hole was murdered, and they think maybe thieves were trying to get in, and of course they shot him. So I'm going to get out and walk around. If we find a good spot maybe to do some sort of spirit box session, then we will. But as you can see, there's people everywhere. It's a beautiful day. It's a museum, and again, they don't allow cameras in their museum, so we can't go in. Okay, well, I'm going to get my stuff together here and get out of the car and do some filming for you. But this is the last place we're going here in Jefferson Barracks National Historic Park. So, okay, let me get out and we'll check out the sentry with the bullet hole in his head. So you gotta see this beautiful scenery too. And it actually looks like the museum is closed today. Probably didn't expect this nice of weather in February. I'm sorry if that sun is right in there blocking the camera. Okay, let me show you some of the Mississippi, and we're going to walk around this building, and we may just be able to do a spirit box session. But look over here. Isn't that beautiful? And if you look this way, towards that way, there's an amphitheater, and that's the St. Louis County section, part of one of the parts of the St. Louis County section of the park. And it was said that they found live munitions down here up on the banks of the Mississippi River. I hope that again, that sun. Yeah, let's walk. I see a little bit of shade. Probably gonna make a better picture, because I can't even tell what I'm filming. I'm blinded. It's so cool. I wish we could do an overnight investigation in there. Sorry, I hit the camera against this fence. You see any sentries with a bullet hole? Thinking that's the original door. And then we have all this. See how wide the wall is. Is there anybody here? You can speak into this camera, and I'll be able to hear you later if you've got something to say. That's someone talking in the background. Looks like there's bullet holes up there. Thinking too, maybe is that where the little slits, can you see them? Stick a rifle through there. Another one over here. Certainly seems secure. And then the Mississippi, a monument, probably to the sentries. And that sun blinded me again. Look at the deer. Can't miss that. Can you see them? Here, I'm gonna telephoto. Isn't it just beautiful? If you're a hunter, they're protected. They're just having their evening meal, I suppose. Beautiful. Okay. Let me come back out. You're here for ghosts, not scenery. But that's the thing about, you know, ghost hunting at all these historic places. They're typically beautiful. Even the run-down ones. So interesting. And the history is just incredible. There's nobody over here. Wonder if we could whip out the spirit box for a little. Okay, got the equipment ready, but I just had to take another shot of these deer. Alright, so anyway, what is that? I saw a person walking. That was weird. I'm gonna have to review this footage. Could just be getting tired, been investigating all day. But hey, when it's 70 degrees in February in St. Louis, Missouri, you take advantage. And these are places I've always wanted to go. So anyway, I'm up against the stone wall. I've got my digital recorder. I got my back against the sun. And let's turn this on. Okay, that's good to go. And by the way, if I do get stuff on the digital recorder that I do not get on the camera or the spirit box, I promise I will post it in the evidence playlist. Okay? And you can check out that playlist and see if there's anything that comes up. So, okay, let's turn on the spirit box.
S-Box. Scanning. FM.
Switch it to AM because you get less
Scanning.
interference,
AM.
more white noise. It's scan. Oh, that's not even the camera view, sorry. There we go. Are there any sentries here? Might be? Is that what that said? If there are, can you tell me your name? Were you here during World War II? Were you protecting the munitions? Are you still protecting the munitions? Did you see any thieves? Yes? Were you shot by thieves? Did you get shot in the head? Are you still here? If you're here, can you make your presence known? Can you say the word light? Was that light? Can you say it again? Can you say the word light? Can you say the word love? My name is Shannon. I came to visit you. I heard that you were really loyal to your post. Thank you. I wanted to thank you for that. For protecting our weapons, our ammunition. Did you scare other soldiers? Did you not want them here? Did you know that you no longer have to protect the munitions? That you can go home? Do you want to go home? I heard you were the best sentry there was. That you're still here. You're still commanding your post. Is there anything you want to say to us? Can you say anything that will let us know that you are here? Do you want me to leave? Do you think I'm going to steal the munitions? Sounded like a yes. Who killed you? Who shot you? Are you still armed? On duty? Is that what you said? Yeah, I'm going to turn this up a little bit more. I don't see people around me anymore. Thinking I'll be crazy person. Sounded like you said on duty. Are you on duty? Can you tell me your name, soldier? The commander wants to know your name. He wants to know your name because he wants to give you an award for being so loyal. What's your name, soldier? He also wants to release you from your duties here. You no longer have to serve here. You can go home, or you can go into the light and find peace. Are you suffering? Always? Most definitely. You don't have to suffer anymore. You can go into the light. Your service is finished. And we thank you. You did an excellent job. But they no longer store the munitions. They're moving the munitions. The munitions have been moved. So everyone wants to see you go have rest in peace. Can you tell me your name? Philip? Hi, Philip. I'm Shannon. Thank you so much for your service here. Do you need help? Can you show yourself to me? Can you do something to make your presence known? Can you say my name? Can you say Shannon? Oh! Oh my goodness. Can you say that again? That sounded like my name. Can you say Shannon again? Are you still there, Philip? Can you say my name, Philip? It's Shannon. Well, I have to get going. Is there anything you want to say before we leave? Before I leave. Unless I brought some spirits with me from the cemetery and the barracks. It was nice visiting you. I just wanted to let you know that you don't have to be here anymore if you don't want to be. But you're welcome to stay. You do an awesome job. Is there anything you want to say to me? Can you say my name one more time? It's Shannon. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for talking to me. Can you say goodbye? Can you say dismissed? Can you dismiss me? Can you say dismissed? Well, I'm going to say it to you. You're dismissed, soldier. If you'd like to go home, you can. Thank you for talking to me. I'm leaving now. I really appreciate it. I may come back another day to come visit. Okay. There's nothing else you want to say. This is your chance. Okay. You're dismissed, soldier. I'm going home. You should go home too. Goodbye.